Chapter 4. Ash and Silence. The snow did not stop for 3 days. It fell without sound, smothering the square where the stake still stood, a black tooth in a field of white. The villagers said it was a sign that heaven had wept, but Jonah knew better. The heavens had turned their face away. He barely left his room. The chapel bells rang, sermons were spoken, and prayers filled the air like smoke. Yet he could not bring himself to enter that place again. Every time the choir sang, he heard only her laughter between the verses, soft, defiant, unholy. At night he dreamed of her. Sometimes she was, as he remembered, pale and perfect, the faint scent of river water on her skin. Other times, her eyes were black as cinders, and her voice came from everywhere at once, whispering words that glided through his soul. Each morning, he woke with her name on his lips, tasting ash. On the 4th night, he returned to the river. The path was nearly gone beneath the snow, the forest still as a cathedral. He moved like a thief through the silence, following the faint current's hum. When he reached the clearing, the circle of stones remained, half buried, but not broken. He knelt and brushed the snow away with shaking hands. In the center, a single black candle lay untouched. Its wick was burned to nothing, yet the wax was warm beneath his fingers. Jonah stared at it, heart hammering. Then he heard her voice. Jonah! It wasn't the wind. It wasn't memory. It was her, soft, close, and unmistakable. He turned, and she was there, not as she'd been that night by the fire, but as something between smoke and flesh. Her hair drifted like dark water, her eyes shimmering with embers instead of light. The snow melted around her feet. You shouldn't be here, she said gently. Neither should you, he wanted to say, but the words wouldn't come. Melissa's gaze softened. You kept your promise, she said. You spoke nothing. I watched you die, he whispered. And I did nothing. She stepped closer. You did enough. He shook his head. They burned you for me. They burned me for themselves, she said, her voice almost tender. You were only the excuse. Jonah fell to his knees, trembling. Why do you come back? What do you want of me? Her smile was sad, almost human. To remind you what they made of you. He stared at her, unable to breathe. I'm not like you. Her hand brushed his cheek. It was cold as marble, but he didn't pull away. No, she murmured. You're worse. You still believe there's something left to save. The forest groaned around them. The river whispered her name. Somewhere in the distance, wolves began to howl, low, mournful, almost reverent. Melissa leaned close. Their God demanded my ashes, she said. Now I ask only for truth. What truth? That love is not holy, she said. It's hunger, and hunger never dies. Her lips touched his brow, a kiss colder than snow. The world spun. The ground seemed to pulse beneath him, and he felt something in his chest shift, like a thread snapping, a prayer unraveling. When he opened his eyes, she was gone. Only the candle remained, its wick whole again, burning with a black flame that cast no light. By morning, Jonah was back in the chapel. Father Benedict looked up from the altar, surprise flickering across his face. You returned to confession? Jonah nodded, though his eyes were hollow. Yes, Father. Then speak, my son. He knelt, folding his hands. Forgive me, he began, for I have seen what cannot be unseen. The priest frowned. What do you mean? Jonah raised his head slowly. His voice was calm, eerily steady. The fire did not cleanse her. It fed her. Father Benedict stiffened. Blasphemy. Jonah smiled faintly. Truth. The priest recoiled, muttering a prayer, crossing himself. You've been deceived by her ghost, boy. She seeks to claim your soul. She already has, Jonah said. The priest's face turned pale. You will not speak of her again. Do you hear me? But Jonah only stared at the crucifix above the altar, its carved Christ hanging limp and cold. He watched too, he whispered, and said nothing. That night, Jonah dreamed of the pyre again. But this time, when the flames rose, they did not burn Melissa. They burned the church. The steeple cracked. The bells melted. The saints wept molten tears. And through it all, her voice called his name. When he woke, the candle from the river sat on his bedside table, still burning with that black flame. He should have been afraid. But for the first time since her death, Jonah smiled. "If heaven burns," he whispered, "then let it burn for us."